Still some of the off season left. We're going to keep cracking down on these schedule previews. What's going on in Happy Valley? We're going to dive into Penn State and what it could look like for them coming up in 2021. Let's go. What is going on, everybody? Christian Ballard here with Ballard Sports Media, coming at you with another college football preview video today. Thanks for watching. Hit that thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. We're so close to 400 subs, man. We've been working at it for a long time, few months. It feels like years. I don't know, but I always appreciate all the love and support. I know I say stuff here or there, like blah blah blah. I ramble. But I love each and every one of you. I always appreciate you. And we're going to go ahead and get into this Penn State 2021 predictions. Conference only last year. We know about the pandemic and everything. 10 games for the SEC, 11 for the ACC, whatever. Big Ten was supposed to be conference only in 10 games. Then they canceled it. Then they picked it up in October. And everyone only had like 8 or 9 games, right? Forget about what happened last year, but just a quick recap. It was 4-5, counting the bowl game for Penn State, and Micah Parsons opted out. That held the defense back. He was pretty much a leader. He's now gone and in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Cowboys picked him up, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, so 4-5 year for Penn State last year. A lot of people were high on them winning the East. I think I remember Uncle Lou picking them to go like 12-0. I had them 12-0 or 11-1 prior to all the chaos. Possibly a loss to Ohio State at home because of like Justin Fields and all that. But then this craziness happens and the unexpected occurred. So 4-5 last year. But looking at this year, forget about last year. Put it aside. They got a pretty favorable schedule, I think. You open up at Wisconsin on the road. That'll be very interesting to see. Then you get a cupcake in Ball State. I don't even know where that's located, but I've heard of the team a little bit. Then it gets pretty tough. It gets interesting. And I say tough, and we'll get into the game a little bit later on. You get a home game with Auburn. That's a home-and-home series. You go to Jordan-Hare in 2022. Play Villanova. They're a basketball school. You get them week 4. Indiana, pretty good team last year. Michael Penix. Tom Allen, definitely a good recruiter. And definitely doing something over with the Hoosiers. That's week 5. Then you go on the road to Iowa, October 9th. Then you finally get a bye week, October 16th. Come back, play Illinois at home. Then you play at Ohio State. Play at Maryland. Talia Tagovailoa and Mike Locksley right there. Former Bama offensive coordinator and a former Bama QB that transferred out to his brother. That could be good. Play Michigan, play Rutgers, and then go on the road at Michigan State. Overall, I think it's a pretty favorable schedule for Penn State. This year for the Nittany Lions, James Franklin is nowhere near a hot seat type of coach. I don't think so. Yes, he was hired to win the Big Ten, to beat Ohio State, to do this or that, right? He was hired to basically make Penn State a relevant and competitive football program, which I think he has. Outside of last year, look, any coach getting fired because of what happened last year, that's sad. That's really sad. I think we had I think Derek Mason got the boot. Obviously, we know about Jeremy Pruitt, but then again, that was recruiting stuff. Nobody should be getting fired because of a tough season last year. So, for them to keep James Franklin, even after a crappy year at 4-5, I don't blame them. you can't blame him for the bad season. I mean, they lost Micah Parsons. He's the best defensive player in this year's draft with the Cowboys now, of course. Um, they lost that. They had a couple receivers, I think, that were out. They just overall had that, and nobody really had a good offseason. Um, well, I mean, I know what we saw with Alabama, but I mean, it's Nick Saban over there. Come on, and Clemson's got Dabo, and Kirby's at Georgia. I mean, anyway, you can't blame them because of the lack of the off season. It came at you out of nowhere. Even though they said like this is what could happen or whatever, it still was like, okay, here you go. This is what you got. But anyways, so a 4 or 5 year, but anyways, sorry about that. 4 and 5 year for um, Penn State last year in 2020. And of course, Micah Parsons obviously holding him back, being one of the best defensive players there was in college football. But looking at this year, Sean Clifford is pretty much a lock for the starting job. It was supposed to be Sean Clifford versus Will Levis. Now, Will Levis transferred out to Kentucky. That's interesting to see. I think Terry Wilson's still over there. They also got Joey Gatewood. Now they got Will. That's a pretty interesting quarterback room you got over there, Wildcats, on the Bluegrass in Kentucky. Last year, though, I will give his stats: 33 of 55, 60% completion rating for 421 yards and a touchdown. He was not starting. It was all Sean Clifford, though. But when Will Levis had time on the field, he did great. Sean Clifford last year, 152 attempts. Completions for 251 attempts, 60% completion percentage, over 1,000 yards, 1,883 yards, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I guarantee you, you give them a regular season and 12 games and everything, that's even better. But Sean Clifford at quarterback, he's a leader. They've had some good running backs too. I think they got a guy in like Journey Brown, if I'm not mistaken, at running back. I'm sure they miss Saquon too. Miles Sanders was great. Miles Sanders with the Eagles, and of course we know what Barkley's doing over at the Giants in New York. But anyway, let's look at their schedule. Let's go ahead and check this out. At Wisconsin, you open up on the road. Ball State, week 2. Again, I don't even know where they are. Auburn, we mentioned a home-and-home series. They go to Jordan-Hare in 22, but they got to take care of business at home first. Villanova, I know they're great at basketball. They were like number 5 last year in the Final Poll or something, or when it came time for the tournament. And men's basketball, they get them at home. Indiana, they'll be interesting to watch. Jaron Hand is a transfer from Auburn. Tom Allen's doing something great over there. At Iowa, Illinois, at Ohio State, at Maryland, Michigan, Rutgers, at Michigan State. I think they get off to a hot start. I think they win their first 2 games. I feel like Wisconsin on the road could be tough to open things up. What the Badgers could do, but I feel like Wisconsin, they've lost some key guys in recent years to the draft and haven't really found their rhythm. I mean, they were truly a team right there at the number 4 spot in like 2017. They lose to Ohio State, get knocked out of the playoffs, and open room for Bama to get in. And they really haven't gotten back to that kind of level since then. And it's just kind of been a decline, honestly. Doesn't mean they're bad. Doesn't mean they suck. They're good. But I think Penn State's probably going to be a better team than Wisconsin anyway this year, just talent-wise and head coaching. I mean, James Franklin is not messing around, I guarantee it. I could see you opening up with the win over Wisconsin. Then Ball State at home. Ball State's not even a Power 5 team. I don't even know where that is. Like Baltimore? I don't know. That could be a win. Now it gets interesting. Auburn at home. If this were at Jordan-Hare early on in the season, which it'll be next year, I'd probably give it to Auburn. But you get them at home, and Auburn's really going to be rough this year, man. Remember Derek Brown, Marlon Davidson, and all those guys that left, and they couldn't get back to replacing them properly last season. And now Gus Malzahn's out, and he's gone to UCF. Um, Now you got Brian Harson, which I think has potential, but I mean, Boise State ain't the SEC. That's for sure. I think you beat Auburn. I really do. I think they're Chess Hall and I agree they're going to be terrible anyway. You should have no problem. Well, I use that lightly. Trust me, Jordan Hare is rough. But I think Penn State goes on the road in week 3, gets a good upset on the Plains. Villanova, basketball school, great in basketball, top 10 team, year in and year out, great program over there. Football wise, they're really not all that. I could see you beating them. You should have no problem. Now it gets interesting. Tom Allen's doing something with Indiana. Had a good team last year, competed, lost big time to Ohio State. We thought it'd be close. Michael Penix is the quarterback, very mobile, good strong arm. Um, it could be interesting. This is truly your first tough test outside of maybe, I mean, again, I just mentioned Auburn, but I mean, in the Big Ten, it comes down to this Indy, but I normally, when I don't know, I normally give it to the home team. I expect maybe we're expecting full stadiums hopefully in the fall. Could this be a whiteout game at night? Maybe. I don't know. But I think you guys get the win over the Hoosiers. At Iowa, October 9th, going to be close. Iowa's played you guys really, really well, and they're tough at home. Nate, wow, what's his last name? How do you say it for the head coach? Fertwentz? I don't know. Um, he's definitely got a solid program. Has had some great talent. Lost some key guys in recent years. Those two tight ends, T.J. Hawkinson, Noah Fant, A.J. Epinesa. Those guys got drafted a couple years back. Recruiting wise, I mean, obviously they've had some good players going like the first or second rounds of the NFL draft. Always have some guys go somewhere every year. They have the talent, but I don't know. Their recruiting in the Big Ten has been fine, but I mean, they're not on a recruiting type level of Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma. They're not on that kind of level. And I think Penn State recruits a little bit better than Iowa does anyway. Uh, I think they play you. I really do. I think you win, but I think it could be close on the road. We'll see. But anyway, then you get a bye week October 16th. Then you're home against Illinois. Shout out to my man Rylo White. Huge Illinois fan in football, and basketball, and all kinds of athletics. I've talked to him a couple times. Sorry, Rylan, if you are watching, which I haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing good. But I think the Nittany Lions get the home win against Illinois. This is where it happens, folks. At Ohio State, C.J. Stroud at quarterback. Master Teague is back at running back. Ryan Day's doing something to keep it alive after Urban Meyer's out of there a couple years ago. We know what Justin Fields can do. Now he's gone. But Ohio State's still Ohio State. They're definitely not dead, and they recruit on a national level. I've heard good things about C.J. Stroud. I've heard about Master Teague. I don't think they're gonna. It was not easy. If this were in Happy Valley this year, I think Penn State gets the win, but it's in Columbus, and again, possible full stadium. That's a tough place to go. Tough place to go. So far, I have you guys going into this game 7-0. Mm, I don't think Ohio State's going to blow you out. But I do think they could get the win. I just don't want to be sitting here saying Penn State's got this no problem and Ohio State win at home. Now, upsets happen all the time, any given Saturday. I'm sorry. I know my Nana's watching. She's a Penn State fan. I love you to death. I gotta go with the home team here, Ohio State, but I think it could be a one possession game. maybe even a 1 point game. I think it'll be close. I really do. But man, Master Teague's a heck of a running back. He's going to get the ball quite a bit. He might be a good player for Ohio State. And C.J. Stroud seems to be promising from what I'm hearing as a quarterback. We'll see. Week 10 at Maryland, Talia Tagovailoa. I hope Maryland can do something great. I would love to see Talia have that kind of year. I don't think Talia is as great as Tua, obviously. Right? Clearly Tua is the better of the two. But I also, and I'm not trying to rip on him too much. I don't want to rip on Mike Locksley or nothing. Maybe he could do something with the Terps. But I really don't see much for Talia. It's tough. I mean, it's Maryland on the road. I just think Penn State. I think Penn State's going to have a really good defense too. I really do. And they might shut down Talia. I don't know. Maybe Maryland surprises some people with the kind of season that they have, but we'll see. But I think on the road, Penn State. Then here we go, home game against Michigan. Remember when you guys beat Michigan a few years ago, acting like it was all something something, and you said you wanted Bama? Don't do that again. Don't you ever do that again. I want Penn State for the sake of Bama versus Penn State, which, as we know, used to be a big rivalry because Joe Pa and the Bear were the two best coaches in like the 60s and 70s. And I did that Sugar Bowl video too, the flashback. Man. But anyways, beat Michigan. I think you beat Michigan at home. I really do. But don't be saying nothing like we want Bama or Saban or not. Please don't ever do that again. Please. Then you get Rutgers. It's Rutgers. They're a nobody high school team in the Big Ten. Um, I heard rumor. I mean, I heard that they did a little better than maybe some people gave them credit for last year, but that was last year, and I'm not going to sit here and look at last year for teams like Rutgers and say that that's going to determine this year. It never really does, but especially with COVID last year, I don't know. Then you get at Michigan State. Basically, I'm looking at all of these teams outside of Ohio State, and I'm saying, okay, if Penn State truly gets back to it this year and prove that last year was just based on opt-outs, and James Franklin is still that kind of coach going in the right direction with this program, they should have no problem with every team on the schedule outside of Ohio State, and that's what I see happening. I could see them. Look, here's what I got: 11-1 for Penn State. They'll beat Michigan State on the road. Could somebody else pull an upset along the way? Maybe so. And you know what I've noticed too is they haven't beat obviously have not beaten Ohio State since 2016 when Grant Hanley blocked it, picked it up, and ran that blocked field goal. Right. I noticed that they always end up doing pretty good, and they play Ohio State maybe a little earlier than, I mean, they got them week 9, but they'll play them like week 4 or 5, like within the first month. And they do so good, then they hit Ohio State, and then it's like a Buckeye curse. They lose that in some other game along the way. I see them going 11-1, right? Sean Clifford's going to be that quarterback. I think he puts up better numbers. I mean, he had 60% completion percentage last year. I think it could be a little bit higher. He'll throw more than 16 touchdowns. I'm sure he'll be looking to throw less than 9 interceptions. But yeah, it'll just be interesting to see. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in and watching today. I really appreciate it. I love you guys. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. Share this on social media, man. Let's keep growing the channel. On the road to 400 subs. I've been working so hard to try to get that. But hit that thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Do football, baseball, basketball, all that good stuff. Trying to be a future sportscaster. And it's going to take time and everything, but I try to do my best with this for you guys. So I love y'all. I appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe right here to Ballard Sports Media for more sports content And until next time, folks, Ballard Sports Media checking out. Love y'all. Keep your head up. Jesus loves you. God bless. Roll Tide.